Okay, if you have been noticing for sale signs in your neighborhood, perhaps you're seeing that they're staying up for a little bit longer before it shows the contract sign on the top of it. You're really not imagining things. The housing industry here in Chattanooga and across the country is beginning to change, and Mark Hite is here, local Mark with the Mark Hite team, and he says that's a good thing. Good to see you.
Absolutely. Local market, local 3.
Yeah.
Yes, Julie, you're exactly right. We've been talking about a shift in our industry for years. When's the shift? When's the shoe going to drop? And we really are experiencing a shift right now, and it frankly is a needed shift.
Well, I'm among those who is seeing houses in my neighborhood that ordinarily would have been just snatched up and gone in days, and they're staying a little bit longer. And I don't know all the reasons why. I'm guessing that you probably do, but am I right that sales seem to be a little bit slower now?
Absolutely. We've got some slides for you to really explain kind of what's going on. If you look backwards, we see that sales for the last 6 months here in Chattanooga, we've declined 5 out of the 6 of the last months. 5 out of 6 months we've had a decline in sales.
Okay.
July was the most pronounced, looking back at an 18% decline in sales compared to last year in July.
Do you think some of that was just buyer fatigue, not getting your offer across the table, they gave up? Or was it perhaps that pricing was just too high?
Pricing has really been a factor. We have had, just like in the consumer market, where gas prices were at a crazy rate, the price escalation has been unsustainable. The first quarter of this year, prices went up 18% in Chattanooga.
Okay, who was the Johnny Carson character, Karnak?
Yes.
Right with that. If you could be him when looking ahead, do you think it's going to stay this way, the drop?
You're exactly right, and why we didn't get Karnak on there, Julie, we just got a puzzled emoji. Yes, my crystal ball says we're going to continue to see a decline in sales because in the month of July, following the month of June, we saw the pending sales, those are contracts written but not yet closed.
Yeah.
We saw them decline 15% to last year. So that should indicate in the subsequent August and September, sales should be declining 10 to 15% compared to last year.
Okay, I guess each case is going to be different. I think the story around my neighborhood is that there was a house that was for sale and then the deal fell through, which happens. I mean, that's just typical. And that can fall apart for all types of reasons, but is the scrutiny of getting a mortgage a little bit heightened now? Like, is it more difficult to get that clearance?
It's not necessarily more difficult, but because interest rates have risen, when we were here together last month, they were almost at 6%.
Right.
Now they have moderated somewhat, but it's really not, the qualification is not different, but what you can qualify for or what you're comfortable paying is very different.
Okay, let's talk about then that pricing, because you mentioned at the first of the year, just how out of control really it was. So I know if you're a home seller, of course you want to get the most for your money.
Sure.
Or the most for your home, but if you're looking at the collective good, it really has not been sustainable, has it?
Absolutely not. Just like $5 a gallon gas and inflation at 9%, 8.5%. I mean, that is something that we as a society cannot long-term sustain.
Right.
So pricing is in the same gauge. What we saw is kind of a flatlining beginning in pricing. The median price last month was still an amazing $310,000 in our market. That's still 20% below the national average home price, so we're still more affordable. But that line that was going up at 18% is now beginning to start to flatline.
Okay.
So we're not going to see values go down. That 375 house in your neighborhood is still going to be a 375 house, but in 6 months, it's not going to be a 425 house.
Right.
It's still going to be a 375 to 379.
And the typical, what's the word I'm looking, increase in value is what, like
3 to 4% a year.
Okay.
That's if you look at the 30-year trend, 3% is a good standard appreciation. I met with a young lady last week and we were talking about, she had bought the house from me for $229. We're putting it on the market for $325, just 3 years later. And I said, don't ever expect this again in your lifetime.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned the 3%. Let's talk interest rates real quickly.
Yeah.
Do we seem to have like less than 2 minutes? Do we seem to be in a pretty good spot, or are they going to still go up and down?
That's the next emoji.
Okay.
I don't have a crystal ball, but here's what we've seen since we were together. Interest rates peaked right at 6%.
Okay.
And now they roll back in the mid 5 to 5.5%.
Okay.
This month of August has been up 2 days, down 3 days. Okay. So right now, like yesterday, one of my clients got locked at 4.78.
Okay.
But they had to buy the rate down. So buying a percent. We haven't talked about points and buying rates down in years.
No, not in a long time.
But Julie, if you're going to be in the home 5 to 7 years, it's a very good investment. And that's why you need to talk to a local loan originator, not texting somebody in a cube in another state. You need to sit down and see what makes the best sense for your family to get the right home at the right price and at the right interest.
Okay, here is where you can find his team. It is the Mark Hite team. You hear him now talking about local Mark. The phone number for the office is 265-0088. Direct line 667-9385. If you go to markhitehomes.com, that's an easy way to find them too. And whether you're buying or selling, they have experts in the office who focus only on that area. That way they are able to best assist you in the part of your real estate transaction that you're looking for. Thank you, Mark.
My pleasure.